Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
Anyway, I'm recording now. Hey, you guys want to do the intro?
Sure. You don't want to use the other sick intro?
No, I mean, just for you.
Gerard de Peralta.
Avec Kevin.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Sassy, SerialNine. No, SerialNine.
Well, let's do
What's a nine?
a complete en français podcast.
Yeah, that'll not confuse people. All right, do a real one.
Hello, everybody. I'm Gerard de Peralta.
And I am Kevin Peterson.
And I'm Ryan Benoit, and this is SerialPodcastNine. I would have kept going with the French thing if I'm being very honest, but because I screwed up saying podcast and between serial and nine, I gave up and felt shame. So that's why we stopped doing the French.
I mean, it would have been a funny intro if we did it in French.
It's still going to go in there, so don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
I've already edited it in my mind, Jerry. It is funny. Do you speak any French other than that?
Me? A little bit, yeah. I can understand and write and all that. I mean, I don't ever speak it.
At what level?
So
fully?
Yeah, I don't ever speak it, so I could get by and understand a little bit. I mean, I took French for fucking, I don't know, like a long time.
French immersion or just French classes?
No. Just French classes, and I'm like not stupid. So I'm fairly good with languages, I think. So I kept a lot of it.
I think you're confusing accents with languages, but I'm here for it.
No. I can read.
Gerard's better with languages than I am. That's for sure.
I'm sure he is. I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah.
All right.
Give him the beans.
You can talk
Ryan.
more about your languages if you want. Serial, this can be the podcast where just languages. What else are you good at, Gerard?
Nothing. I mean, I don't know. I know a little bit of a few German words, a few Farsi words. Spanish is fairly close to Tagalog. So as far as the accent goes in Spanish, I got that down. But a lot of the words are quite different. I can get by with like the basics, but I'm going to have to learn a bit more. So it's cool.
You know what I like is that I was just joking and you ran with it. And I appreciate that so much.
I think languages are sick. I think it's cool that
languages are sick, Gerard.
Yeah.
Hey, it was your birthday last week. How was that?
It was cool, man. I mean, you were there, so.
I was there.
The podcast world wasn't, though. I think the Ryan's. See, now I'm picking up on what Ryan,
My birthday was great. What did I get for present? I got a shaver, like to close shave your neck, and like if you did the skin shave on your head, that type of shaver.
Okay.
I wanted that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know, just chilled. Basically, like hung out with my.
You got a 911 GT3 RS?
No, I didn't get a GT3 RS.
It wasn't under the tree.
The internet is all about the 911 GT3 RS now. Hey, like it's just loves it.
I mean, it's an amazing car.
To love?
So.
I agree, but now it's like very memeable. I saw a meme.
And it's only because people are like, oh, I hate Instagrammers or I hate YouTubers because they've jumped on the Porsche bandwagon. It's like, it's kind of like the final boss. Like, what do you know? Maybe
these people started following these dudes because they, it was
GTRs.
It was JDM stuff, and like it seemed to maybe obtainable. You know what I mean? It's like, and maybe they're just like, yo, like I know I'm not gonna attain that,
But not everyone now I see says that they really like them. So like the meme I saw today was Andy from Toy Story, like I don't want to play with you anymore. And he's throwing out like the GTR,
the JZX100.
And it's like in the other hand is the Porsche. And I thought, oh, that's funny. And then I thought we were there before everyone. Gerard was just going off of the Porsches for the longest time, and we were trying to get sponsorship that never really came through. So good for you for being in on the ground floor of that, beating the internet to it, and being sick at languages.
You speak French
anyway.
Brian was in French immersion.
But do you speak French fluently?
Yes, Gerard.
Okay. Well, I mean, you screwed up the third part of the intros. And you're like, hey, Ryan. I assume you would at least have a French.
A Ryan, like E-T as in N.
I know exactly what you said, but then you said Ryan.
Yeah, there's kind of
There
no
was
like,
no, like,
there's no
Ryan
accent on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You gotta put some sauce on it.
Ryan, I can roll my R's. Don't worry.
But
It's funny, Gerard, that we've talked.
throat.
The things that I love the most is how, no matter how much I talk about something about myself with Gerard, he never remembers.
No, that's why I assumed you spoke French. That's why when I started the French thing, I was expecting the most French finale to our intro.
But then
from you.
I got upset because I forgot how to say our thing, and I forgot our podcast name is the real problem. I was focusing on SERIALNINE, and then I was like, oh no, c'est pas d'accord.
Nice. There you go. See that?
Yeah, look.
Yeah, now you sound crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Although that being said, when I was in Montreal, I was trying to speak a little bit of French, and it wasn't. I was, I think, too nervous. They weren't laughing, but I was just not on it as much.
I think anywhere you go to speak French, Montreal is probably the worst place to speak French if you're not from Montreal or don't speak fluent French.
So there was a point in high school that I worked at a call center, and I was hired because I could work the bilingual line. So I would actually have to take orders from Quebec and stuff at Sears Canada.
Nice.
You know?
And how was
that was my first job. Not Roebuck. Roebuck is the US. It was fine because everyone else was making minimum wage, and at that point I was making like $8 an hour or something, which was more.
Which is more than minimum wage.
Was like $5 an hour at the time. Or something.
Was this like 1991 or something?
Well, no, it would have been 2000. No,
$5 an hour. Yeah, I was gonna say $5 an hour is
six,
a long
maybe
time ago.
$6 an hour. It wasn't a lot.
I think it was, but I mean, it was $6.15 or something.
Yeah, because I swear when I started, it was like a 2-tiered system, and you got paid like $7 for the first like X amount of hours, and then you got bumped up to like $7.25.
They paid you more out here than they did in Saskatchewan.
Well, yeah, I think
minimum wage is different.
Labor laws were different. Yeah.
I was in the prairies, boys.
You got cheap labor,
we went a long way away from how Gerard's birthday was, and I was going to use that as to segue into my topic, but now we just talked about our first jobs, which is
you're talking about languages. You talked about the job.
Fuck.
You talked about your job. Gerard never talked about his job, and I never talked about my job.
I screwed up.
That's what I was going to say.
In my head, though, I knew Kevin.
All right,
worked
what
at
was Gerard's
McDonald's.
first job?
My first
Valley
job?
Village.
No, actually. So was it my first like official job or my first like any job?
Tell me about both. Like, I don't know first because I don't know. I had a paper route. Like I don't know.
Yeah, my first like kind of job was student works painting. My cousin, or like he wasn't a real cousin in the Filipino community. He's a good family friend, so you call him a cousin. He was like running a crew of painters, student works painting, right? So it's a bunch of fucking dumb kids who are trying to have these summer jobs or whatever. And then I honestly can't fathom what kind of fucking idiot would accept a bunch of dumb kids to paint their house. I guess it must have been just extremely cheap or some shit. So
yeah,
anyways, whatever, we painted some houses. I remember a couple of really noteworthy things. One, we did a house that was on 96 there, Kevin. So like it's 96 and Scott, like a real piece of shit, right? Like right on 96. And I remember we're trying to paint the door, and it was so messed up. We just used tons and tons of like spackle or, like a filler or whatever, and just like filled in all these kicked in holes and shit, and just like painted the whole door. And whatever, that one was fine. And then another one.
Is this your real job now, or is this just like another?
No, this is the same. This is the same. This is the same. This is the other noteworthy thing in my first sort of stupid summer job. We were painting this dude's house. I was doing all the trim from the roof, the second story roof. It was really hot, and I'm pretty inexperienced. One, I got sunburned like fuck, and then second, I knocked over like a huge can of paint on the roof. It was white paint on the shingles, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to my cousin. We just left. God. And then sure enough, of course, they get the phone call back, and we have to go fix it. I don't remember what he did or I did. I don't remember anything, but I remember I was pissed. I was fucking pissed. I was like, fuck these people, even though it was like obviously my
Your
fault. I was
fault?
just like some dumb, like angry kid.
How old are you at this point?
16, because I could drive. So I was 16, had my Volvo. And so I remember that they had a shed that had RC cars in it and a bunch of other shit. So my buddy and I, we put like super glue or epoxy on our fingers to not have fingerprints, and we parked the car through, and like we broke into this thing and stole these RC cars out of their fucking shed because we were, just little shit.
I love that you're getting even with someone that's just like theft. Like awesome and hilarious.
But I love like you're getting even. It's like, yo, like I destroyed your property, and you were like, hey, can you not destroy my property? And that
Could you imagine if that was
I'm gonna
me?
go back and take your shit.
Killed me.
Yeah, you would be so
totally.
mad at young you.
But at the same time,
what if your son did that?
You're hiring 16-year-old fucking.
Yeah, that's.
You're not hiring them to steal from you.
It's funny how many of your jobs, like your stories of like when you worked at places, are you being a shithead.
But that's
and it's like only until you became your own boss, it seems like you became responsible.
No. You just got to wait for 20 years for Gerard to tell these stories.
Yeah, I was. No, as a teenager, man, I was like really bad. I was like a super angry, real shithead. Like I was always in the office. The only reason I wasn't like suspended and shit is because my mom was a teacher. So she'd get a phone call that like, oh, Gerard like threw a full pop can at like the window, and like blew up and like smashed the window and like. It's like
I was like shitty in elementary school, but not in high school. I was like
I was full.
And by shitty, I mean I just like to argue with people. Like it was nothing better for me than to argue with people. Surprise.
On The Simpsons where they pull like Marge and Homer in, and they're like showing Bart, and it's like the cone of distraction where like all the students are in the far outsides are getting good grades, and as they get closer to Bart, they get worse grades. I think like that was me. I was just distracting everybody all the time.
I want to ask this question, and you can tell me what you think. So I was listening to another podcast, but they said
You're cheating on us?
front of the. Well, it was like a comedy podcast. It was comedians. Anyway, and they like Saturday Night Live people. I want to specify because anyway.
I mean, you were almost on Saturday Night Live.
I was almost on Saturday. This close. Don't fact check it because you can't. And they made a comment that there's front of the class funny and back of the class funny. What do you think the difference? What does that mean? Like I've thought about it, and what do you think that means?
Front of the class funny is like actually funny. Or would it be the other way around? I feel like back. No,
I agree with.
I feel like it's interesting because I like jump back and forth between what. So I was like, maybe the back of the class funny is just like you're making the crass jokes that like are lowbrow humor.
Yeah.
And maybe the front of the class funny is like you could stand up in front of the whole class and be funny. But maybe the other way is it's like, like you're actually saying the like cutting witty jokes at the back. I don't know. Because yeah, exactly. You're not going to say
inside jokes almost.
Or something you're not going to say in front of everybody because it's maybe it's about someone or something,
Yeah, my thought was kind of back of the class is like you can say the crass kind of like whatever low hanging fruit, because if the teacher hears it, it's going to be hard. One, the teacher probably won't hear it. Two, it'll be hard to figure out where it came from. And then if you're front of the class funny, when you make a joke, it has to land because everyone will probably hear it. And that was my thought.
You got to stand by it too. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're owning whatever joke you just said.
Yeah.
Not just like blurting it out.
And you can't be like a total dick. But okay, so that's good.
What about those people who just like hear your joke and then say it louder,
Oh, the worst. Leeches.
Those are middle of the class funny.
Although when middle of the class, it is funny because on the podcast, I find sometimes Kevin, you'll make a joke and I'll laugh really hard about it. And then I'll repeat it for no reason. And I always have to edit it out. I'm like, I'd be like middle of the class funny. Anyway, I did lie. My first job wasn't at a call center. It was actually at Burger King. And it was a really shit job. But
Burger King's, Did you have it your way?
Mm-mm. It was just a shitty place to work. I mean, you had to like work night shifts on the weekends, which was really like fucked in high school.
Yeah, I had a buddy who worked night shifts because on his first day out taking his parents' car, he like drifted across some dude's lawn because I guess he lost control and took out like I would think it was kind of like the for sale type signs where it's like it was like a wooden sign, or maybe it was their mailbox. He had like taken out. Anyways, in order to pay for this elaborate extra damage scheme that we did to his parents' car, he had to fucking go work at Wendy's. And us, especially me, being the spoiled shithead that I was, and then my other friend who had like a good job, summer job, who like always had way more money than all of us, we would drive by and basically like make fun of him working at night at fucking Wendy's.
So yeah, like I love how like he has to work and that sucks, but the best thing you can do with your time is just like go hang out and drive by his work and laugh at him.
Well, because we wanted to hang out with him, but like
I know,
so it's like we're just like, yo, fuck.
So we made fun of you,
dude. There used to be
a go buy food, and then like there
would be a Burger King on Number 3 Road in Richmond, and it was like a really small, tight parking lot between like you go into the back and it's just like concrete walls on all three sides from like the buildings that are on the around it. And my buddy would work there so late, and we'd just go there and like drift around in the back parking lot and like through the drive-through and stuff. Like, all right, what do you want to do? I don't know. Let's just go like see Powell for a bit or something. Like,
oh, good.
Maybe he'll give us a Whopper.
Yo,
it was hard to give out free food at Burger King. Burger King was hard. You couldn't like, they were really on what you could and couldn't have.
Oh, really?
Like it was shitty. Like McDonald's apparently just gave you the gold card and it was dope. Just 50% off all the time. Right?
It's supposed to be while you're working, but same thing. It's just like I'm the manager. Like I don't care. Like what do I care? Like Like,
Burger King is like it's kind of like the shittiest. You know what I mean? Out of the fast food guys, I am boggled that it's still around.
They also like never changed with the times. I felt like.
Yeah, McDonald's is always doing new shit.
McDonald's is so terrible now. I find.
I haven't had McDonald's in a while. The Big Mac is the only thing I get there. So and then like maybe some fucking nugs, I
always get like
chicken
McDouble, but I don't know, just like
which is
halfway through.
Isn't that a
I'm just like, what am I doing? No, it's like a cheeseburger with just 2 patties.
Do you think maybe you're just like a grown up now and your tastes changed?
No, totally, 100%.
Like before, anyway, that's probably really the case. They probably haven't changed their recipe, and then you're just like, it's no good. All right. So, Gerard, we celebrated your 47th birthday at the Keg.
Yes.
You ordered a filet mignon?
That's right.
Chicago Blue was your order. That's right. Kevin had prime rib?
That I did.
And old Ryan had a steak that wasn't a steak. It was a piece of salmon dashed with a little pistachio on top. Anyway.
I thought it was encrusted.
Fine. I don't know. It is what it is. It wasn't as good as what you guys ate.
Salmon can be good.
It can be, but not at the Keg.
What'd you have for sides?
The mashed potatoes and the vegetables. And then it was, I could have
beets and broccoli.
No, mine was Brussels sprouts.
Oh, nice.
Well, Brussels sprouts are pretty good. But I like the beets.
Brussels sprouts are pretty good. That's a funny thing about
I have a lot of Brussels sprouts in my house. Like we have them 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're good. It's a funny thing because I was raised to believe that Brussels sprouts were gross, and it turns out they're actually good if you make them right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, not the point. So, Gerard, you're 47. I turned 40 this year. So the clock is switched over, and Kevin's forever young. So that's great.
Not
and
quite.
I thought you're doing your stretches and your walks. You're hitting your daily goals. You're doing it. I thought it would be fun. Because, look, I don't got a lot going on. Last year at this time, I knew I was going with Kevin on Drift Week, so it was very exciting. You could, there was something in the air to keep, you could taste it, the anticipation. But there's nothing.
The anticipation was palpable.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say. And now I'm like, man, I'm getting old. I'm around this stuff. The more I thought about it, I was like, I wonder when I have a midlife crisis. And then I thought, if I had a midlife crisis, what would a midlife crisis car look like? What does that become? And anyway, like a regular person gets a sports car. but we aren't regular people.
Is the car guy gets a regular car, but I feel like you already have the Prius.
Yeah, maybe I have a really short lifespan. That's what I'm worried about now, is because I already got the Prius.
Well, how many years ago was that, though?
One. So, I mean, I was 39. I lived to be under 80, just under 80.
Yeah.
78.
Seems like a good life, no?
It seems like a good run. But anyway, I started thinking, like, what is also, because I'm going to add this. I've been watching Super Street Garage on Motor Trend TV.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to see that episode with our thing.
Yo, Motor Trend TV.
Yeah, and it's very
that
much
reminds me of like being a kid.
And it does feel like that, the way they make the shows and the way that, and like I'm watching and like the way it's shot and the way that they kind of gloss. Yeah, and how they like kind of just gloss over the build a little bit. You're like, you used to watch trucks and you'd be like, oh, you can just build a truck in an afternoon. And it's like, nope, that's not how that works. And it has a bit of that.
His name was?
Yeah, Stacy. He built a 57 Willys and
Stacey Davis.
Yeah, Stacey Davis is building a truck. It's like, man, this shit looks easy. I could do that. And
but isn't Tony Angelo on a show with Stacey now? Like, is it Tony Angelo? Like, speed? Like, I swear he does that. That's what he does. He
is. Yeah, he is on something. But
that's cool.
Super Street TV is, when I saw this, I thought, man, this would be perfect for Gerard. Like every episode, they build a new car of a different style. And this is probably more relevant to me because, as we've talked about in the past, I read Super Street, which I think Kevin and Gerard both are kind of like maybe turned their nose up at it a little bit. They're like, Super Street.
No.
It was okay, but it's not it wasn't as technical.
It wasn't Turbo Magazine.
Yeah, and it's not super technical. Like, it's a good way to like get your feet wet into the car scene. And that is a little bit how the show is. It feels that way, which is great. But the guy who was the editor, Nads, is on the show. So when I was reading the thing, now he's a host of the show. And they were building Type Rs, and he kind of had this whole thing. Actually, before I get to the Type R build, because that illustrates the point that I want to talk about, the thing that is really cool about the show is SerialNine parts were on the show, and I thought that was really amazing to see. And it perfectly illustrated why you should buy SerialNine parts. And if anyone doesn't have a subscription to Motor Trend TV, which I do because of a Black Friday sale, they were building a chaser drag car, and essentially all the subframe all the bushings went, and they could choose any set of bushings that didn't come from sponsorship that we know of, and they chose SerialNine. So that was really cool to see. But one of the main story arcs is the editor, Nads, who's now the host, builds a Type R replica. And he said, my whole life I couldn't have a car like this, and now I have it. And he's probably even older than Gerard, I would guess, maybe. And I was like, oh, that's such a funny... It's not a midlife crisis car, but in our world, like maybe it kind of is, or maybe you just get your dream car when you get older. And it got me thinking, like, what is that car? You know, like,
dude,
what
I feel like a midlife crisis for car for me would almost be like a Austin Mini, like the old one. Like, it's like, that's a car that was one of like I swear, like the first cars I wanted. Like, I remember like before I could drive, like just looking at Craigslist and like Auto Trader and all of that stuff to try and find one and being like, oh, I found one I could afford, but it's like way, 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 way more than I could ever do. And then it's like, oh, I found one that's like, I could just drive it. And it's like, well, that's way, way, way more than I could ever afford. And like, yeah, I don't know. Feels like I still want that car and always wanted that car, but I feel like that's a weird midlife crisis car.
I mean, yes and no. No, but I think that's kind of the point, is that I don't think midlife crisis cars for car guys are regular. Yeah, because like realistically, like I thought even on the show, dudes were driving S2000s, and I'm like, those are cool, and what a great stereotypical midlife crisis car an S2000 would be. But it's like, but that's not really what that car is, I guess. Like it's more than that. So
I mean, I agree though. That is a great midlife crisis car. You got the top down. It comes in red or yellow, like 2-seater. Yeah,
it's sporty, rear-wheel drive. You got to do the things. It's a nice-looking car, and that checks the boxes. Whereas, also not for everyone, but the Miata also.
I feel like You could also like, it's a Honda. It's probably reliable enough that you could take it like on big road trips and not be concerned. And also, since it's like only a Honda
Type R
S2000.
S2000.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah.
Thanks
and then
for
also
attention, Gerard.
But no, I was gonna say, you were saying talking about taking an S2000 on a road trip. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like go down to California with your wife for her birthday.
Because it's your midlife crisis.
You know?
She hates road trips, but yeah, exactly.
I don't mean your wife. I just mean the royal wife. Yeah.
I know, but like that would be sick. You know what I mean? Like for me, it'd be like I'm just borrow or rent or whatever a cool ass car, go for a road trip for the weekend.
Like you got the top down, you got the sick colors, like, you know, like it's still sporty and fun, rear wheel drive. It's probably reliable enough to like do a road trip, but also it's not Porsche money, so like you're probably not concerned about like parking it overnight downtown or like, you know what I mean? It's still like practical enough to still be a car, you know?
I mean, I'd probably disagree, but
okay, well that's the thing. That's what we're
now you can. Like, let's talk.
I mean, they're fucking tiny. S2000s are fucking tiny. I wouldn't want to spend any amount of time in the damn thing.
Well, that's
so.
relative. Yeah, like Kevin would be fine in an S2000. I think I would be okay in an S2000. Yeah.
They are a driving car. Like for you to not be driving in it, I feel like it's not actually that practical. But that's just me. Like there's way more room in like a Porsche or even in a fucking Boxster and shit. There's way more room.
I don't want a Boxster though. That's just like I couldn't afford a 911.
I mean, those feel like midlife crisis cars too.
I know they do, and I would take an S2000 over.
If you just take the roof off of any car, does that make it a midlife crisis car or what?
It does. You can get a Sunfire convertible or like a Cavalier convertible.
Yeah, like a Aries K car. Yeah.
Yeah.
K car turbo drop top.
What about a
Gerard?
Swift?
What? Oh yeah.
What would be in my midlife crisis car?
Hey, now, because Gerard, look, you're 47. Mm-hmm. I know that you believe that you're going to live forever because legends never die. But
well, the good die young, right? The good die young.
Yeah. You got to start thinking about your midlife crisis car. So, what is a Gerard midlife crisis car?
I mean, my midlife crisis is probably to sell all the damn cars. Honestly, I don't know.
The what?
That does seem like that's a very good answer, Gerard.
Yeah, like a midlife crisis would be just get rid of all these fucking stupid ass cars and like buy one practical car. Like I still have like 5 cars or some shit. I'm in the process of selling 2.
And which 2 are you selling again? A BMW?
The BMW and the truck.
No, the Blit. It's not for sale. The truck, the Xterra. I'm like bringing it back from the dead to like sell it.
Okay. And then what was the other one? A BMW. Yeah. There's still a BMW. 118. Okay.
Yeah, it's still one.
So
it's been in hibernation.
That's the thing. Okay, so you sell all your cars, and in your mind, how much money do you have to spend?
I mean, am I selling the truck? Like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Is the midlife crisis vehicle for me was probably the truck.
That was years ago.
But I mean,
I'm worried about
I'm 47, right? Isn't that a midlife? 45?
No,
44?
That's fair though. Yeah,
I need something that I can depend on. I need something that can pull a trailer. I need something that's fun enough that I'm not bored out of my brain. I need something that can take me off roading and my family. And that's like, I bought it and I pulled out a bunch of money to buy that truck. So like, that was my midlife crisis vehicle, was the fucking QX.
Oh, well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a top down screaming money in a thing, you know?
But I mean, I'm smart enough to know that that's a dumbass idea. I already got a bunch of dumb cars. Like my fucking Blitz.
All your cars are like actually like practical cars that you've just made impractical.
Yeah.
What of it?
Yeah, no, and I'm not disagreeing.
I feel like okay, here's the thing. I feel like if it wasn't me, like let's say the 100 was finished, let's say the Cresta was like pretty done, or maybe let's just say I still had the Aristo and the Blit. All of those cars are fully midlife crisis cars for someone else. Be like, yo, I'm gonna build a fucking crazy 100 that has like 600 horsepower and like stupid fucking huge wheels and like it's like so low and it's like just so impractical and like extreme. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what that is. And then like the Blit,
well, that is
same thing.
that is the conundrum of this whole thing, is that it's like, yeah, I have the car that I had 10 years ago that I could finally get when so it's like I have the Aristo, and to me it's like that would maybe also be a midlife crisis car, but as close to the stereotype it really isn't, like, I don't know. I guess I'm looking for another answer from you that isn't something that you've already done.
If I got rid of all those and I was like, yo, I want one car
to rule them all.
I think I guarantee we've talked about this, but
I know.
3 years ago.
But it's probably going to be.
I'm sure we have.
Be a fucking Porsche.
It's going to be the Taycan, buddy.
No, it's not.
That's not a midlife crisis car, though.
It's going to be.
How is that not?
The thing is,
it's still too practical. I don't know. It doesn't feel like.
Well, I mean, Gerard wasn't saying the Taycan, I was, so maybe just let Gerard speak versus.
Yeah, it would be like some sort of stupid fucking 911. And like it has to be sort of.
You're only saying that because it's cool on the internet, buddy.
Yeah, you've been reading the memes.
You probably rewind and like hear me saying the exact same thing like 2 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, it'd probably be like a 911 from Japan, probably like some sort of 997, but it's like, been modded in Japan, and it's like kind of gutted. Like if I had fuck you money, it would be that RS that I quote unquote bought but didn't actually get.
Yeah.
But that was a 964.
Put the comma in the right place.
But like, like it's for sale. I found the place. It went to the States, It went to this place in the States, and it's so fucking expensive that you have to email for the price. And I know it's sold for 330,000 Canadian.
And you thought you were gonna get it for 30,000 Canadian, or?
I sent them 33,000 Canadian.
Oh, I did it. Now you got to give me the car. Put it on the boat.
I was hoping. I don't know. I was fucking hopeful, man.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
Real Hail Mary on that one. I'm going to say, just for the sake of the podcast, I know that it is, but that feels like a next car anyway. That would be, I think, like,
touche.
That is just a next car.
It just feels like you're working towards that anyway, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you're in a midlife. You're not actually in a midlife crisis, but I know you're in your midlife. So whatever you think you're doing is averting a crisis. But that's not the thing. You're going to take that Porsche on road trips. You're going to like cruise. Your wife hits her head, decides she likes road trips. You and her are going to go drive the 101 down to Cali, go to Orange County.
So that's kind of
what are you taking?
All my cars. Okay, so I guess the reason why that type of Porsche would be a midlife crisis for me, is because all my cars have that practicality. Like they're all fucking pretty stupid already, but I always keep that sort of modicum of comfort. Like, like there's still interior. There's still, like it's not gutted. It doesn't have a roll cage. It doesn't have like a weird, like, fucking starter cable kill switch on the outside or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a racing car. Like I feel like for me to buy a car that would have to be so unbelievably impractical that like when I took it out, my wife would just be like, what the fuck is that? And why would you ever want to drive it?
Yeah.
Because like all the other cars, like she sort of thinks that, but like at the end of the day, it's just a blit. It's just louder than stock.
What is a car that your wife would like be more than happy to get in and go for a drive with you and be like, I'm happy to be seen in this car. I'm happy that we're driving around.
It would probably be that same car, but with interior and not super loud and not super stiff and low. So let's say like
a stock Porsche.
Yeah, just like a new Porsche, like a new.
Would she want a convertible or like a Targa top?
No, I wouldn't even want a convertible, man. I'm not into any of that.
I like though that it is funny because I did think like the whole thing is that, for the most part, in the Venn diagram of things that we appreciate, all of our cars have four or, like they're sedans or whatever. Yeah. They fit the people in them. They're like pretty like practical cars made just mildly impractical, but not like fully impractical. Like you could drive it all the time if you needed. So that when we're like a midlife crisis, and this was what I was worried about when I asked the question is, oh yeah, I'm just gonna pick the most like ludicrous coupe I could think of to drive around.
It would have to be a coupe for me, because then it's like
like we're all just like, oh, as long as it's got two doors, it's a midlife crisis.
It's a midlife crisis car.
Yeah. Anything else is for the business.
And that for me is kind of the thing, right? It's like for me to have a midlife crisis car would have to mean that I cannot drive any of my kids in that car because I have 3 kids and there's no chance that I'm going to buy a, you know what I mean? Like even though the 911 has 2 seats in the back, you're not bringing 3 kids. So like it would have to be like so impractical that like it would only fit my wife and I, you know what I mean? Because I always just want to take my kids, but then it's like, then I would just buy a Taycan Sport Turismo, you know what I mean? Which would be like it's basically my truck, but like cranked up to fucking 20 or something, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And it doesn't go off road. It's a wagon. It's 4 doors. It's super fast. It carries all the kids. Like, so it has to be 2 doors. It has to be 2 seats, and it has to be like annoyingly impractical.
So here's the thing. I do believe that Kevin could swing getting a Mini, like an old Mini at this point. Like, so you decide your life needs we're going to do a little like visualization here, Gerard. Your life.
It's called role play.
Role play. Well, yeah. Your life takes a swing.
Don't we always do this?
We haven't in a while, and I miss doing it because it is fun. And your life,
feels like it does change. I feel like I've been able to dream a little dream much more lately, you know?
Good.
This is the first time I've ever heard Kevin say Mini.
You dreamt your way into a brand new Lexus, bro.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. The Mini is a far cry from that car.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's realistically, we kind of all drive like retired
grandpa cars.
Yeah, grandpa cars. Like we're all ready to go to the golf club, but none of us golf, you know, like that's, and then we like fuck it up. Yeah. So could you move enough things around in your life to acquire the Porsche? Is a Porsche right now? Yeah.
Let me look 1 second here.
Yeah, what's that car?
I don't know what they cost these days. What I would want.
Because the other thing is,
what I can afford.
I mean, only with the Porsche does it feel like that's a fair trade, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like if you're trading it, sorry, are you talking about the 916 or the Taycan Gran Turismo? Or, yeah, what car are you talking about?
No, not a fucking chance. I'm buying a Sport Turismo Taycan. That's like a $250,000 car.
Yeah, that's off.
Yeah, so I mean, and the other one was even more expensive. So,
which one? The Porsche? The other Porsche? Oh no. I mean, I would just have like a 996 GT3 or something, like an older, like cooler car.
But in my the problem with that, in my opinion, is like the Gran Turismo is the only car that you could get because it could take the family, it could be fast, all of that stuff.
Oh,
but I don't. No.
Even if you're shuffling everything around. Okay. You're like sell your fun cars, but keep it practical daily
Catherine's got the minivan, so he can still they can use the minivan. Like say Gerard goes full like.
All right, let me see what I can get here.
Yeah,
Is it 2009 yet now? Yo, we can get 2009s now, bro.
Yeah.
That's right. All the American listeners, it's a 15-year-old in Canada. That means we can buy 2009 JDM cars. So, sorry, guys.
The midlife crisis car is the thing that is not practical at all.
I mean, this is pretty nice. What I would want basically is like a track car. Like, you know how I wanted to build that 130i like track car, but then because it has 4 doors and stuff, I feel like it's eliminated from like a midlife crisis quote unquote car because it's not impractical enough. Like I could still put like a bike in the back, which like
I don't want
a midlife crisis car. Yeah. So here's an 05 911 Carrera S. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I could buy this. It's 44 grand US, 46 landed, and then of course I would have to do coilovers, buckets, like to make it impractical enough that because as it sits, then it would just be, Catherine would be like stoked on it. You know what I mean?
Well, I kind of want.
It actually has 2 really nice seats in the back, so like the 2 older kids or any 2 kids could totally come. That's actually so fucking cool. It's like green interior.
Wouldn't it be the funniest thing if we just started
if I bought this
midlife crisis? It's like, wrong. So Gerard found a 2005 Porsche 911.
It's kind of like GT3 look-esque. It's got like a I don't know what bumper that is. It's definitely pretty sick.
I don't know enough to like really know what makes the differences between all of them. So like as soon as you say 911, I'm usually like pretty okay with it. And then depending on what letters at the end, it's just like, oh, that's great. Is it the rear wheel drive or the all wheel? And then you're like, okay, does it have a 4 in it? Okay. But then I wonder if I'd be better off with a 4. Anyway. Okay, I
stopped looking at Porsches. So fuck you, Ryan, because I actually stopped. This car is sick. I stopped looking at Porsches for like a long time because I was like, the prices have gone up so much. Like I'm just not gonna do it. But like now I'm like, fucking maybe I should just get one while it's still not.
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. That is a fully sick car. I feel like you would have to. It would work for you, Gerard, because I think to work on it, you would figure out how to work on it. I don't think I'd be able to afford the maintenance on a Porsche.
No, you'd have to be able to work on it. This car I should buy it. I could sell that for fucking way more money. Anyway,
but here's the problem. You'd buy that car and then you'd drive it and then you'd probably really like it and you'd be like, fuck. Anyway.
Well, then you sell the Blit.
Sell the Blit.
I mean, I would fucking sell the Blit for this thing for sure.
I've made a horrible mistake, to quote.
You have.
Yes, yeah.
Really bad.
This is why we don't ask these questions on the podcast.
And that's an 08. That's a later model car. Like
all of the cars you've sent are dope, and I could see you driving them, and then you being very happy. Which I don't know if it would bring me joy. I was mostly trying to find an answer that would bring me joy, and here we are making Gerard happy again.
I think you would have joy, Ryan.
If Gerard had a Porsche?
Oh no, if you had that Porsche.
I would be. I think I would.
You're looking for answers for us to tell you what to buy.
No, I'm not, because
ISF.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's the thing.
Literally, when you said what's my midlife crisis car, I was gonna 100% just feel like it's an ISF.
The ISF is.
But that's too practical, maybe,
That's more
but
in line.
Not. The rear seats are non-existent. That might as well be a 2-seat.
I mean, and that's the same thing as the next car. Like that in my mind is kind of like, if I'm being very honest, because I've been kind of like, oh, there's not much going on. And it's kind of like what brings joy, and it's either, aside from family and all that stuff, but I mean, like, looking forward to things. It's like the new car and travel. It's either things or going places. And then so part of me is a little bit also like, what would be? But I already know that the answer for me is an ISF, but that's not really a midlife crisis car. That, it's kind of just what I have, but better.
It feels like if you're getting something that's like a little bit unnecessary, that's a midlife crisis.
A little bit. But like, that's the issue with us doing this, is that
everything we ever buy is unnecessary.
Unnecessary. It's not necessary for me to have another car in the basement that I don't drive all the time. So it's like, realistically, in the term of a midlife crisis, I feel like it's unnecessary, but also like traditionally impractical. Like you would look at it and be like, oh, that's an old guy driving a sports car that is like a 2-seater because his new girlfriend doesn't have to worry about the kids or something, like along those lines. Whereas like an ISF is still, it's not the biggest backseat, but I could probably still put my kid back there and have it be fine. I don't imagine it's that much worse than a Prius.
Prius
so that was
I would think so. I would think it
has really big back seats.
Would it be worse than Kevin's backseat in the Altezza?
I mean, it would be similar. The only thing is, with you guys, it's probably fine. But like when I sat in an ISF when they first came out, and I put the seat into the position in which I would be driving, it was touching the back seat. So
my understanding for most newer Lexus vehicles is they're not good for tall people. Mm-hmm. Which I'm not a tall person, so that's fine. The Porsches that you've sent to Gerard are fully sick and would qualify. You could choose either of those.
Looking at fucking numbers.
I hope the whole purpose of this is that we put Gerard onto a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I
can't put my bike in the back. Yeah. I'm 47.
Yeah.
I've earned this. I think you could get your wife on board if you didn't like do anything crazy to it right away. And you're like, yo, look, you could like, we just go drive around.
Yeah,
my wife would be 100% on board if I was flipping it. I think those cars are pretty cool, but they're not like what I would ultimately want, but they're great cars because for me, when I flip cars, like I enjoy the process of like buying the car and like fixing the car up and like enjoying it for a little while and then passing it on to some other enthusiast. Like I think that shit's cool. That's what I really like about, you know what I mean?
Right. That's very nice. And I like that sentiment for you. But
I like buying the car and then ruining it to the point where no one would want it. And then never selling it.
That's kind of how I feel about it. It's like once I own something, I just feel like it's my responsibility till the end of time.
I don't totally feel that way, but like
I also like.
Well, I don't either. I sold the 4Runner. I sold the Corolla. I sold my 180. I sold my Celsior. But like, yeah, no, I don't fully feel that way either. Yeah, the ISF is like an actual, just would be like the next car. It isn't like a midlife crisis car in the same way where it's like an S2000 is kind of like a midlife crisis car, like that. And I think that's probably where my head would go. Or if like it's stupid as well, but like not really a midlife crisis car and way out of my capability. But luckily I know Gerard. I don't know why this would help, but it's like, Kevin knows this about me. I also really like the 80, like the 90, like the last gen CRX. So there's part of me that's always like a CRX with, like the last version they made in the 90s.
CRX SI. It's a great car.
Yeah, and so there's that part of me that is like, because I was almost meant to get a Civic when I was a teenager, and then I got a Mazda. And I feel like if I got a Honda, I would have been on a very different path than I am now. And so there's a part of me that's always like interested in a little bit and like, I wonder what it would be like to just have
Do you think it would be
a Honda.
Better?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it would be even like, because I'm not trying to piss off Honda owners. I don't know how many Honda owners listen to this, but it's easier to probably get into a Japanese like a Lexus, like the Aristo and live with that, because I think it just has more like creature comforts to it. Whereas like a Civic at the end of the day is always going to be a Civic. It would require way more explanation, which I love the explaining of things, but like, it's still like, people know what a Honda Civic is. So if you're like, what do you drive? You're like, it's a Honda Civic, but actually it's a Type R, or, a replica
JDM
Type R.
Yeah.
It's JDM version. I have the best engine in it. Whereas like the Aristo is fine because I can be like, it's an inline six twin turbo. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds fancy. Where you're kind of like trying to, with a Civic or any Honda, it feels like you're trying to explain this special 4-cylinder to people that they just don't care because they've already heard Civic and they're like, oh yeah, you're one of those, anyway. But there is a bit of that. I always wonder what it would be like to be a Honda owner.
Yeah, I've also wondered that wonder. Thought the ponder,
Just drive a little go-kart around. That's the thing.
So neither of you have ever had a Honda?
No, I went from a Mazda to a Nissan and then just Toyotas.
Right.
Yeah, I've never had a Honda either.
Damn, son.
I almost had like a 93 4-door Civic.
Yo, those are sick. I had that.
But the person had fucked up the fender because my brother and my dad went to go look at it because I was working, and it was in a small town in Saskatchewan, and they said it looked like the door was folded, like the front door was like folded fully back into the front fender, and then they fixed it. Yeah, and they're like, so you're not getting it. And it would have been like a white Honda Civic 4-door, and at the time my brother drove like a Honda Civic SI coupe. Anyway, so there was a whole thing where I was like, oh, I'll have a Honda, and then I got a Mazda for some reason. It was really stupid, but I think it's ultimately for the best.
I'll tell you what, Mazdas always drove better than the Hondas.
Yeah, but mine was like an MX-3, so it wasn't like a great car. Like, it was neat.
I'm telling you, the whole thing, which was actually funny, Mazda always, what's the word? Remember Zoom Zoom?
Yeah.
Right? Mazdas were drivers' cars. Whereas Hondas were basically like the Toyota of like the import car or the compact cars. Like they were, practical, they good on fuel, relatively fun to drive, but the steering's super slow. It's even the SIs, like the SI or the SIR, like, they're exciting, but it's like Honda's an engine company. Like they make really, really sick engines, whereas Mazda's like a car, like a driving. They emphasize driving. So even like this shittiest Protege, my girlfriend had a '93 Protege. It was a 1.8 liter single cam, nothing exciting about it, but it was faster and easier to drive, and the steering was quicker than any of the Civics I had because it was a Mazda. So like your Presidia guaranteed had better steering than any Civic, and was probably faster than most Civics. You know what
I mean, my brother and I would always argue about but dyno, who had the faster car. Mine was the V6, and his was it's.
What did he have, an SIR or just an SI?
He had an SI, but then it was like, but I got, it was such a dumb conversation in hindsight, which is like, well, I have an RSR exhaust, this was him. I have an RSR exhaust, and I have an AEM intake, and I have DC headers. And I was like, oh, but I got like a straight pipe to a blah, blah, blah exhaust, and it's a V6 that's already like, you're arguing over such small increments and horsepower increases on those cars because they're NA. And, like, I think
probably like lost power with that exhaust.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Anyway, and
especially if you didn't actually drive it. Like, I mean, you have to to see any of those gains, if you will, or like to see it, like that exhaust probably gave you 5 horsepower at 6,000 RPM or something. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, look, we fully went to go see how fast that car could go. Like, we topped it out. It didn't have, like, the speed limiter on it was not there. In the prairies, it didn't seem like that bad of an idea to drive your car 200.
It's not that bad an idea here.
I mean, isn't the speed
200
the max speed that car could even go was like 200, wasn't it?
Well, and then the Civics would like top out at 180. I thought maybe it went 200 or slightly over 200.
I had a brand new Civic, like a 1998 Civic DX, which is the same engine. It was not an SI because the hatch was only available in CX and DX. I wanted a hatch. So, anyways, the fastest the thing would ever go with intake, exhaust, fucking no cat, header, everything was 205K. We used to race on 0 Av.
I think the Mazda went, I could be wrong and I could be mistaken. I think it went over that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would assume the Mazda probably had 130 horsepower. Those engines
it did.
Sick, man.
Yeah, it did have 130 horsepower. Yeah. And I remember like driving on a very straight road in Saskatchewan, seeing how fast it would go. And then eventually I was like, oh, this is a thing. Yeah. But anyway, I do think that if I had a different first car, it probably would have changed my trajectory from where I am. But Mazda led me to Nissan, and then Nissan led me to Toyota. Is how that went. Because like the Mazda was really shitty to do anything to. It was just like, the engine was really big for the engine bay and clumsy to work on. And I remember having like, and not a lot of people made parts for it. If you were trying to do anything to it, it was really difficult. I remember even trying to get an intake for the car. Like, do you remember Weapon R?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Weapon R was meant to be like developing an intake for the car, but they didn't know what to do with a mass airflow sensor. So like I remember putting a deposit down, and for like 6 months, the company just wouldn't. The local tuning shop. Funny. Yeah, being like, oh yeah, nothing yet, because it's like I must have been the only person anywhere that had ever ordered an intake for that car.
You want to know what's super funny? Is Jude had that car, but he had KLZE swapped it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Jude had a KLZE one. I think those had like 180 horsepower, and they fucking sounded so cool. Like KLZEs are like the shit. Like, imagine, it's a 1.8 liter V6, Kevin, but like, oh no, that KLZ is a 2.5. But like all the good V6 noises, not like the VQ shit.
The
is that
thing
like
was
from the Presidia or whatever?
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. But the KL,
Yeah, those things did sound sick.
the KLZE
Wait,
was
what was
from
the
like
KL?
Japan.
From
I think that's what it
Japan.
was called.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a J. So
Well,
the KLZE was out of the 626, I think.
that would make more sense.
Yeah, it's out of an MX6.
That is
So,
which was also in the Ford Probe.
Yes, that's Ford.
And
Probe.
that was the engine swap that everyone always talked about. It was like, if you were to swap the engine, you should put the Ford Probe engine in the car. And that was
But see, the Probe engine was only the KL DE. No. So the KLZE was Japan only, 200 horsepower, 165 pound-feet of torque. The KL03 was in the Ford Probe, and it made 175 horse. But yeah, they all sound sort of the same. Obviously, the ZE sounded fucking.
Either way, that's super cool that he did that, because like like nobody, you would like hear people talk about it hypothetically, but like nobody was really doing anything with those cars in 1990. Yeah, in 1998. So I think the takeaway here is Gerard is now in a midlife crisis trying to buy a Porsche.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Now I'm like looking, I'm like making folders and like saving photos and like fuck.
That was the US price though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's still fucking cheap, man. It's like 40 grand landed. Like that's cheap as fuck.
Dude, I just sent you one that's 31 Canadian already here.
Yeah, but they're not like this. This is why I love Japanese Porsches, because they're special. Like any Porsche you're gonna find here looks like every other Porsche here. You know what I mean? Like this car has like so many dollars in modifications and looks absolutely like no other Porsche here. Like whether that's better or not, like it's exciting. You know what I mean?
I think it would I think it would do you better than it does in the BMW world, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%.
Yeah,
I would enjoy these cars. I would just.
I enjoy that I asked this question and like Kevin like had like this fun answer of like an Austin Mini, which he is not like, now I gotta go figure out an Austin, because he's not having a midlife crisis. But Gerard, I see Kevin enjoying an Austin Mini because I feel like he would also find an excuse to get dressed up and drive it around, like wear like one of those yeah, you'd wear like a paperboy hat and drive it around like a British guy or something like that.
I feel like my stick, but
you do the gentleman motorcycle ride.
I've done that once. Yeah, that would be Matt Peterson. That's Matt Peterson right there.
Yeah, well, Matt Peterson would lend you a suit, and then you would drive around in it. That would be that.
I need two of them.
Fair enough. Because I've asked it, and like questions, the answer does change. Just for the fun of it, first car today, if you were choosing, is it still the same as it always has been? I'm just checking in, or has something changed? If you're
go back and choose my
from today again? Like a first car from today.
Oh,
like my first car? Oh my god, these.
No, if you were a 16-year-old today and you had to buy your first car, what are you buying?
Oh, like in today's day and age? What am I gonna buy? I mean, what's my budget?
I'd probably just buy a 911 GT3 RS.
Yeah. We do live in Vancouver, and the internet told me that's the car of the moment. I think you can get that car and pay it off with internet clout and likes. I think that's how that works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How bandwagon of you, Ryan?
I don't hate the car. I don't think any which way about it. I think it's cool. If I was a rich person, I would probably be right there with you, Gerard, being like, we all need Porsches. I'm not a rich person. Kevin, to be fair, the car you just bought could, in theory, be someone's first car.
I thought about that, but I was just like, yeah, it's probably, yeah.
I mean, it probably.
Would I want that?
I think only a small amount of people.
Would I want that to be my daughter's first car? You know, it's a bit powerful.
You
know what I mean? But like, it has all those like nanny features that are like gonna like not let you screw up. Like,
yeah, it's a Lexus, man. Like, what's
exactly.
Yeah. That would be funny. Like,
burnout in this thing barely. You know what I mean?
June's first car is a Lexus GS 430. Here you go. Press your friends.
Yeah.
Pretend like you're taking them to a golf course.
My midlife crisis will be that I just take up golfing. It's not even a car.
Yeah.
It's an
It's
activity.
just to change your part of your personality.
I stopped going to drift events. I started going to golfing.
Oh my god. I don't even want to.
That's
Then my midlife crisis becomes a gun with one bullet. No, okay.
And it's aimed right at you, Kevin.
BMW.
Yeah, I'd try to buy like a 335. No, probably. I mean, that's the thing is like when I was first buying a car, I didn't have a lot of money because it was mommy's money, and I mean, knowing myself, I probably wouldn't have a job, or maybe I'd have a job. I don't know.
You had a job. You were painting houses and spilling paint.
Yeah, I was a bit of a fucking spoiled shithead though. My mom bought me my first car. I mean, it was a piece of shit.
Really?
But still, like, yeah, it was a Volvo GT.
The Volvo, right?
$1,700 or something. Back in 19 fucking forgotten.
Okay, yeah. My parents gave me my grad gift early, so I had $1,500 to put towards whatever I wanted, and then I saved up a bunch of money to buy my first car. So I didn't
that's basically the same thing, isn't it?
Is it? Did you save up a bunch of money? I saved up
no, but I mean,
grand.
she gave you $1,500. My mom gave me $1,800, so it's like same shit.
Yeah, but then I just didn't buy a Volvo. I wanted to be in a hot import nights, and you just wanted to drive a Volvo. It was a different time. There's still a mild age gap between us of
8 years. And I mean, it definitely was into old cars. Like it went from Volvo to Cortina to Capri to like Pinto. Like none of those cars were like. And then after all that, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm buying a new car. I want a Civic."
Yeah, and then you did the Civic. Buying a car today for a reasonable amount of money. Thoughts?
BMW 330. 330.
You're never gonna believe this. You're never gonna believe this. I feel like I'd buy like a G35 sedan.
That's a good car to buy.
All right, mine's really
because I don't think I'd be buying the BMW like as a first car. I don't know shit. I'm not gonna be like I know it's gonna be problems. I know that
But I mean, you're Kevin. You could figure it out. You think you know everything, right?
I mean that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm also smart enough to know that I don't know everything. So I'd probably just buy a Japanese car.
Oh man, I think this is because I'm going back to before. I would buy a Honda, I think. Is that what
Hondas
I would buy?
Good. That's a good car.
I might buy an RSX Type S, maybe.
That's a good car. That's a great car.
Yeah.
Because there is a Lexus IS for $7,000, which is in the same vicinity. That's pretty good. But I
fucking don't buy an IS for a first car. That's a stupid first car.
I don't think that's a terrible first car. I feel that's like the 240 of the next generation,
It's pretty pretty whatever. It's not this like I never get it. Like just nothing going on. Even when that car was like kind of new and guys would bring it to my shop and be like, "Oh yeah, like blah blah, like I got like a supercharger and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's fucking auto and like it's like it has 200 horsepower stock and like that's what it has. Like so you're going to spend $7,000 to add 40 horsepower? Like that's fucking stupid." You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, I assumed Brian was talking about the first gen, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking
people
about
supercharged that back in the day?
Yeah, man. I had a customer that supercharged it and it had like a Gretty E-Manage and like, throw the entire kitchen sink at the fucking thing to make like 50 horsepower and blow up. Like, it's terrible.
You're talking about a 2JZ? A 2JZ?
Yeah, a 2JZ VVTi.
Okay.
Running like fucking 10 or whatever pounds of boost with poor management. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. E-Manage isn't terrible management, is it?
I mean, this is also like fucking 2004, man. Like you know what I mean? Like tuning back then was like some black magic shit. Like
yeah.
It's not like you buy widebands on the fucking internet or something. You know what I mean? Like
someone is selling a 92 Honda Civic with an LSB tech.
Is this our podcast?
I feel like it all started from you, though. You were sending us car links first.
Yeah, but that's because
Ryan just asked you to come up with something out of your head, not like go find an actual car you could actually buy.
Yeah, I'm not mad that you found it, and I'm not mad that you're now having a midlife crisis. I think that's like a great outcome from this. It just comes from me like feeling a little bit down at the beginning of the year to Gerard buying a Porsche, which I think is great. Like the outcome of this podcast is Gerard's trying to buy a Porsche, and we're not talking about BMWs as much. I'm all for it. I need you to know that is like the best outcome. And I'm amped as hell for Gerard to get a Porsche. G35 is funny for you to say, Kevin, but it does make sense. I feel like.
I mean, I don't really know what other. Like, I mean, I also guess I'm just like prefacing that with like, oh, I probably want to drift it, but it's like my first car, I didn't really know about drifting yet, so you know, I guess I could.
To be honest, a G35 sedan is better than a 330i as far as like a drift platform because, like, I guess you could just weld the diff on the 330. I guess but like, I feel like the G kind of it's more friendly to be drifted. Like it's legit like an actual drift chassis, whereas the BMW is just a nice car that people drift, and it happens to like check the boxes for a drifting car, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways,
I will say this: like some of the most fun cars I've had have been like the cheapest cars I had because I just didn't care about them.
Oh,
and like that kind of rings true to like everybody I've talked to. So like maybe just buy like a hilarious car you don't care about as your first car. Maybe buy a Camry or an Echo.
Oh no, we all care about Camrys though. And now I just want to say on Marketplace I'm getting this weird. Oh man, they just got one for a Prelude. Fuck off. It's just like a lot of Honda Civics, which is kind of interesting.
Fuck you, Ryan. I'm probably actually like seriously looking towards doing this shit.
I think that's the best outcome.
28 grand for a 997 Carrera S. That's like.
I think your neighbors will stop yelling at you if you put that on your driveway. And I
can get away with a loud car and not worry about it, right?
Yeah, it's the best outcome, I think.
But then I can't take it fun about it. Am I drifting a Porsche fun about? Like, what happens? You know what I mean? What happens when I don't get the 100 done? I don't have the blit to back up on.
You just roll up in the Porsche
and you tell people that you drive a Porsche now. Yeah.
And then you just show them photos of a 100. You're like, oh, yeah, I got this too.
Yeah. I mean, how far are you from getting the 100 done? Same
honestly,
as it was like last time.
No. I've done some work on it. I have done some work on it. I would say like getting relatively close. Like if I probably worked on it for like a week straight, actually worked on it for a week, I would have it running.
Oh.
I mean, there are some other factors that are out of my hands, sort of.
Sure. You could have it done. It wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I'd like to get it done for. I don't know. I was kind of thinking it'd be cool to bring the Blit to Final Belt West, and then if we go to or if we go to like Final Belt, I'll bring the 100. But
I think that would be really cool, and then you can get a Porsche, and I'm fully on board with the Porsche. I think that's, you know what? I think that shows growth as a person if you show up at a Porsche one day. Although that kind of screws up your idea of making BMW parts maybe a little bit, but I don't know.
I mean, they use Porsche parts, and like nothing is more popular in the JDM community right now than Porsche. It's like, dude, even like what's his name there are so many of our friends that have 996s and 997s. Like so many.
Well, I don't, but good for them. Okay, well, I've clearly created a monster. I was gonna say I used to think that my midlife crisis car would be like a Datsun 240, and now I don't think it is.
It's just too expensive and hard to like.
It's too expensive.
It's huge. The
pain in the
barrier
ass.
of entry is very high.
Yeah, and then it's a pain in the ass. It's always probably going to be a little bit rattly or a little bit something or a little bit something else. And yeah, I do still love them very much, and I think they're cool cars, but not on the docket. Hey, so you're gonna go to Final Bout West, is what I've learned that Gerard might buy a Porsche, and you might go to Final Bout West. You are going to Final Bout West?
We are going to Final Bout West. It just depends on which car we're taking.
Have you submitted your application?
No. In fact,
they are open. I gotta put in for media. That's a glimmer of hope. 2023 was a rough BMW year, and now we're looking at Porsches again.
Things are looking bright. Yeah, I'd be stoked to hear about that.
We're all here for. If you got a Porsche, we're all amped for you to get this car.
Yeah, way more than any BMW.
Like when you're like, oh, I'd have to sell the Blit, and I'm like, yeah, do that to get this 911. I just think it would be super dope to see a 911 parked outside of SerialNine every day.
The problem is to sell the Blit. How do I sell the Blit?
I don't know. You're a salesman. Just do whatever your voodoo magic. Doesn't matter.
And then also
just make people think they want it.
Sell me this pen, Gerard. Good
Let me just sell this 118 first, and then we'll see where it goes.
Hey,
that is a very reasonable thing to say.
That is,
but just not a very midlife crisis way to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I could do that would probably work really well is, considering I don't actually ever tow with the truck, I don't actually ever off-road in the truck, and I don't actually need the truck, I could sell the truck.
It's the only thing that you can carry your family around, though, isn't it?
That's correct.
But how often do you do that?
Like every single day. Or not every day. So I would have to drop off Bella in the 911.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That would be the most, in my world, the most midlife crisis thing would be to be like, hey, honey, I sold
my truck.
I sold the most practical vehicle I own. Yeah. And the other vehicle that is somewhat practical because it's a wagon and has 5 seats. And I bought a Porsche that only kind of really has 2 seats, but 4 seats in a pinch.
I'm not here for like the details. I'm just here for the outcome. What else is going on in 20? This is the first podcast of the year. Is there anything else?
Kevin's building a UFO.
This is the first podcast of the year.
It is the first podcast.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Kevin's building a UFO.
Not quite yet, but
no.
It's only. I can't take that apart until I put something else back together. So
that's pussy shit, man. It should already be ruined by now.
I will then.
True Kevin fashion.
Then I wouldn't be able to get to work. I had to ride a bicycle, and my bicycle got stolen. So
yeah, that sucks, eh?
Well, I think we've covered a lot. And
I got a question. Have any of you guys ever yearned for an Australian car?
What is even an Australian car?
Oh, like a Holden.
No.
Monaro. Yeah.
No.
Oh, no. I lied to you, Kevin. There is one Australian car.
Yeah, you want to be Mad Max?
Yes.
I knew that was coming.
How did you know?
What was that anyway? It was a
V8 Interceptor.
Falcon. The last of the V8 Interceptors, buddy.
You know what's funny is that thing
like looks like a
when
Celica.
You're that movie, you're like, what the fuck is that? But like, it's kind of cool, but like, it's sort of ugly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It reminds me of like a Ford Capri or something almost.
Yeah, it fully looks like a Capri, but like it's not. Holden Interceptor, right?
Yeah, probably. How did you know that was the answer?
Just because I know you, Ryan. Spent a lot of time with you.
Yeah, that thing looks sick, dude.
That was like the only way Ryan could be like this excited to talk about an Australian car is if it's like a pop culture reference.
Yeah.
It was like, has to be that one.
Oh no, I'm right. It was a Falcon. The original one from Mad Max. Oh, that's from Fury Road. Never mind.
No, find Mad Max.
Road's the
Fury Road one is a Falcon.
What did he have in just Mad Max, like the first Mad Max?
I'm pretty sure that was an Interceptor. Mad Max Interceptor Pursuit Vehicle. 1972 Holden Interceptor. Last of the Interceptors.
So fucking good when they say that. And he goes out at the end of Mad Max, like the super Australian one, not the one where he blows his car up, and fucking just goes ape on those those
those bogans.
So, yeah, he fucking gives them, he handcuffs them to the thing and then lights a match, and he's like, it'll take you 5 minutes to cut through the handcuffs, or 2 minutes to cut through your hand. You decide, and he throws him a hacksaw, and it's like, yo, Mad Max. Go on, sorry.
I want to watch that movie now.
Mad Max 1 really isn't great. It really isn't. It's only good for the last 10 minutes when he snapped and goes and takes the last of the V8 interceptors and goes and hunts down the people that fucked his friend up. I
can appreciate it because it's of that era where they slow crank the camera so that when they play it at normal speeds, the cars are ripping. Yeah. Everything's kind of sped up a bit,
Yeah, that's fair. I want to say Mad Max, anyone who's not familiar with Mad Max Road Warrior is a little bit easier to watch than just regular Mad Max, because that's when they switch over and he has to drive the fucking semi truck with the tanker. Yeah, that's pretty sick.
That's a great one. That's a great movie.
Yeah. And if you watched Reboot when you were younger, Kevin, you would know that they made an episode of Reboot based around. Yeah.
So have you seen that? I don't recall that though, but I love Reboot. And did you see they've been in the news lately?
Reboot?
No.
Yeah, because I guess they're making a reboot right now or something. And then also the people who made the original have the original tapes, but it's some super weird, obscure, reel to reel thing that they need to use them or transfer them or digitize them or view them or whatever. So they were posting on the internet recently, looking for anyone who had this specific machine. And then I saw a post later by them and they're like, okay, everybody, please stop telling us that you have a VCR. It's not a VCR that we need.
I don't know if Reboot showed everywhere or just in Canada, but just to briefly explain what Reboot is. Reboot takes place, it's a computer animated TV show for kids that takes place inside of computers, and essentially it comes from the perspective of NPCs. All right. So here we are. This is okay. Well, do we have is there anything going on the website? Any products, anything people should be looking out for?
The website actually is going on. We have a new website. We're switching websites, and it is a new website. Keep an eye out for that sometime in January, probably maybe late January, early February. But yeah, it's a cleaner look. It has a really intelligent search and sorting functions. So it's actually AI powered. So you type in 2 letters and it'll find anything. You can type it wrong. You can fucking type control arm incorrectly as fuck and it'll pull up control arms. Anything with colors, literally anything. It's pretty cool.
Right on.
So yeah, you can find what you need.
Perfect. Hopefully. Any new products or anything we have to coming down the line?
Oh yeah, right. Actually, we do have a new product, Ryan, and it's totally up your alley. And Riaz, if you're listening to this, Chav, if you're listening to this, anybody else with the specific chassis that you think that we're talking about? What are we talking about? The ones on Aristo and GS. We do have the AK-49s coming out for that car in approximately 1 to 2 months.
Oh, sick. That's so exciting. That's a ray of sunshine. I don't even need to consider a midlife crisis car anymore. Perfect.
You just need to drive the one you have. You already have a midlife crisis car.
But that's what I said, but it's also kind of practical. So then that was kind of, anyway, it doesn't matter. Hey, also, obviously, if you want to support SerialNine and you don't want to buy the parts right now, you can always go to the site, buy the merch. There's tons there. Lots of cool stuff to grab. Wear it around. Tell your friends. We always appreciate if you leave a comment, reach out to any of us, leave a review. All of that is dope. We appreciate it. We appreciate you, all the listeners. Looking forward to doing more of this in 2024. So let's keep on
one thing we
keeping
should
on.
probably mention, Ryan.
Okay.
Is
yeah.
We were all talking, you, me, and Kevin, about doing the podcast IRL.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is a thing that we have talked about because, God damn it, everybody does it and they show video clips on Instagram. And I want a piece of the action. Yeah, we have been talking about that. So then maybe if you don't watch any of the YouTube videos, you'll know what we all look like. And that's good.
Yeah.
You'll know who's talking.
And then we can also show all these cars that we're looking at. Be like, oh yeah, like look at this and look at that. And remember, it looks like that. And do you remember the Mad Max car? It looks like this. And like, that would be pretty.
Sounds like a lot of more work for me. So I'm very excited.
No, because you could just like have a screen where you could pull it up, and it's just like this, you know.
I got to figure that out. Still sounds like it's fine. We'll talk about it. I love it. I'm all here for the ideas. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. As always, we appreciate it. And yeah, we'll check you out next time, or you'll check us out next time. See you next time around.
Okay. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Adios,
Bye.
brother.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.